Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the GRIPP Harvest Launch webinar. I'm Dan Aberhart with Aberhart Ag Solutions, and thanks so much for joining us here today. Make sure if you have any questions or Q&A, you can throw it into the chat. Yeah, we're here to deal with some of the complexities of the season. I know at Aberhart Farms, we're just getting into the harvest swing of things, and there's always that chaos up front, but I'm very excited for the fact that on Monday or Tuesday, whenever the mail system delivers it, we'll be getting our QR codes from GRIPP, and Jeff Farmer will be out there sticking them on all the equipment, and we're going to be rolling just like Dylan here shortly, who we're going to hear from, who's got a huge success story. So I'm hoping the farmer's half as excited as Dylan was when he first got his tag. So, but we got a great panel today, and really we wanted to focus on a producer story to tell how this app is changing management and production on the farm. We're very excited to having gotten involved here for Western Canada. Ben had talked to me about this 6 months ago, and maybe I'll tell the story of how we ended up pulling the trigger. But I think it's a game changer. And with me today, I have some awesome guests to chat about it. It's going to be a very informal chat, roundtable style. So we got Dylan Heidecker here from Coroview Farms from Coronation, Alberta, and he's fresh off just finishing up silage, so he's feeling like a hero, hey?
Sorry, it feels good to have that done.
That's a big job. That's a big job. And then we have Ben Voss from, well, he's Canadian Growth Lead for GRIPP, and he was in Chicago all week, and now he's, I don't want to, I mean, let's just be honest, Ben, you're salmon fishing.
I'm gonna try to, yeah.
You're gonna try to.
Yeah.
There is no try. There's only do. I didn't know if you're gonna be calling us from the river or what.
Oh, yeah. Well, we're gonna see how it looks. But yeah, I live in Regina, and then I farm up at Spiritwood
Yeah.
in Saskatchewan. So yeah,
And you salmon fish in BC.
I'm gonna try.
Well, and then we have an American on the call. God bless him. God bless our wonderful neighbors to the south. Tracy Weidmeier from GRIPP, the founder, one of the founders, who we've been working with to bring this product to Canada. And Dylan has been working with you directly as well, Tracy. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, glad to be here. Super excited to hear the stories and contribute.
Yeah, and you said you did a TED Talk here-ish down in the States there this week.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, I've been around a few states just talking about technology adoption on the farm, and why we see a lot of hurdles and roadblocks that haven't been solved before. So it's super interesting listening to grain farmers and folks struggle with getting technology on the farm that's simple and easy to use and really easy to understand. So it was a great talk and a great set of people that I met.
Yeah, well, let's circle back to that. And I think that everybody's wondering how to use all of this technology to make their lives better. But I've hardly ever heard anybody be as enthusiastic about anything as when I talked to I called up Dylan to talk about this webinar, and we talked for an hour, I think at 9 o'clock at night. It was later at night, and Manitoba time anyways. And I was really impressed with that. So I think we should start there. But just before we start, I'll mention again, if any of you folks in the audience there have any questions or you have any comments, there's both the chat that should be open and there's the Q&A. So feel free anytime to jump on and contribute. You can put it in the chat there, put your hand up if you want to talk. And that's all good. So Dylan, give us a little bit of a background. I guess maybe just start with, tell us what your operation looks like, and then we'll get into how GRIPP's been helping with that.
Yeah, so we're mixed grain, cow-calf, and feedlot with about 35 staff. So we've got lots of equipment and lots of people and lots of maintenance that needs done, and daily checks that didn't really know if they were getting met or were getting met. Yeah, it's GRIPP's done a lot for us in that aspect.
Yeah. So Dylan, you said when we were chatting there, you said you were looking for a solution and you tried a bunch of stuff, but it really working, but what were you trying to solve for? What were you
Yeah.
trying to figure out?
Yeah. So we were looking at retail shop softwares to try and allocate billing and the cost of things, what we were spending our money on, where it was going, what equipment we were spending it on, trying to find bad actors, and none of that was really working because you weren't connecting the operator to the shop, and that was something that we've discovered now that is just second to none.
Beautiful. Well, I wanted to ask Tracy, when you guys were trying to solve for what this app does, like what were you trying to address specifically that like Dylan might have had an issue with?
Yeah, there was a couple of things that we had heard over and over again. One was, look, I could use John Deere's app for the green stuff. I could use Case for the red. I could use a Valley Pivot app for the irrigation. And all of a sudden you got 4 or 5 different apps that connect equipment, but there isn't really a central view of how to maintain those or the maintenance records on those. Plus, it's the same operators using all that equipment. So in effect, what you're asking them to do is learn 4 or 5 different applications that may charge differently, that have different, user interfaces, and that's just historically been a non-starter. And then the other part was, when we walked farms, they said, look, when we talk about where something is, who can operate it, what we did, what we have to do, what we have to try to remember. It's all text and WhatsApp. So you have one big channel or a couple of channels for different parts of the operation, but there's 20 people in there, there's 100 pieces of equipment. And so the context of that conversation gets lost really quickly, and you end up infinitely scrolling back 2, 3 months, and then you just give up. And so you don't remember those things. And so we tried to combine those things into one simple place. Hey, track anything you want, keep digital records in any form, and then keep that conversational context, all in one place.
Wait a minute. You're telling me that we're not all using brand new all John Deere on the farm? Like who's using a bunch of different colors? What's actually, Dylan, you alluded to the fact that not all your equipment's new.
Well,
And
that's one thing I don't
maintaining.
know anything about JD Connect or any of the new equipment with all of that. I don't know anything about it.
What were you
I don't
using
know.
before? How were you doing this before, Dylan?
Pen and paper and just everything up here, and it was
Sticky
hard on
notes.
my head. That's
Yeah,
right.
sticky
Yeah.
notes. So
Yeah,
you're go
we
ahead,
would
Tracy.
hear all the time, the farm manager, the owner, the management would wake up in the morning and they'd have 20, 30 texts from their team about different things. And it's like, where do I start? I've got to claw my way out of that till 11 or 12 in the morning and before I can be productive. And so we're trying to, make sense of that noise. And it really comes down to empowering your team. Like if you talk to Dylan, like his team wants to do a good job. They want to have the tools to make the operation successful. But when there's the tools out there, it falls to him and the rest of his leadership team.
Yeah. Ben, what do you think are some of the things on the market that people are trying to implement? I know we tried a bunch of stuff on the farm, and um, how is this replacing it? Like, where do you see GRIPP fitting in from your perspective? Because you're kind of an iron guru. You can go on LinkedIn and hear Ben's opinion on all that. You're part of manufacturing. So what's your take on it?
Yeah, look, I haven't met Dylan yet, but I met your dad when he was just first kicking the tires on Grip, and he called me, and a lot of the things he explained were what Tracy said. He said, like, look, we're up to our eyeballs with endless messages from the 35 people on the team with all the questions every day.
Yeah, and
It's
7 different group chats, and
yeah, it's getting out of control. He said, I can't handle the the amount of communication is just becoming a real problem, and it's not fun, right? Just didn't sound like he was having fun anymore. And that wasn't what he envisioned. He's like, we were a smaller farmer and we grew, is what he told me. And now it's gotten
yep,
so big, and with all these people and all the extra activities, the trucking and all the so yeah, Dan, like look, over the years I've seen all this unfold, right? Right from the 90s when all we had really was tractor GPS and simple technology with switches, and to now having screens and and all the connected apps and the dashboards that you can look up in your house on your computer. If you buy brand new equipment, some of it comes with that, some of it comes with a subscription. But if you buy a rock picker or you buy a semi or you buy a grain trailer or you buy a grain bin or a grain auger or you buy a feed mixing wagon or you buy a 4640 John Deere that was built in 1981, none of that is in there, right? So, and it's interesting how today, even on the what you would consider the most modern and advanced of farms who have got all new equipment, they still have a very large fleet of this other stuff. And the the advanced softwares that come from the big OEMs don't have, they're trying, but they don't have these types of tools either. They don't have group chat messaging systems that are organized and searchable and give you the ability to set up your day productively. They don't have a way to record a video on how to do something and then put it into a system that allows you to say every time I open up the information about that machine, it's going to show me the options to search back and look at who has ever been involved in this machine, who's maintained it, who's operated it, who's the expert in it that can say, yeah, when you're gonna, let's just use a silly example, but like if you're hooking up a tractor to a bale shredder or a rock picker and you got to connect the hydraulics, the hitch, the PTO, and there could be something you need to know, like you need to extend the hitch 3 inches to make sure that when you turn, the PTO shaft doesn't bottom out and you blow the shaft off the machine. Like you could have broken it 3 times in 3 years because 3 new operators went through that exercise. That was easily preventable with one simple step of saying, "You're smiling, Dylan, because I think I just guessed it was something that happened on your farm." But that's the classic thing, right? And then you've broken it 3 times, and it's like, why did we keep doing this when it was you could have just phoned me and asked me, I would have told you. Yeah, but then the manager's like, this is great. Now I've got all these phone calls coming in, and I that's the only way right now
Or
is
you just forget to mention it, and that's where GRIPP's been unreal
right.
in looking at that, like you're saying, that thread, and you
The
can look
first
back
thing,
and see what you've done and where you need to go from there.
yeah,
Do you think it's preventing some accidents? Because I'm just thinking, I wish that I had grip as a young man to say, don't pull ahead with the tandem grain truck with the airbags empty with the swing out auger. That would have saved a little bit of embarrassment. But like, I love the idea that you can put some standard operating procedures in there, and whether you're new on the farm or whether people are just switching roles, because with 35 people, you have a lot of people going in all directions doing all kinds of things, right?
That's right. With just in every different aspect between feeding the trucks going down the road and all of that, it was all just kind of separate, and then and GRIPP's brought it all kind of together, and it keeps everybody just looking more right with our daily checks, and as well as having the maintenance records, we all get everybody gets to see that, and that's one thing was different about GRIPP from those retail shops that I'd been speaking about before, where that was keeping a retail shop together, and that's just not we were looking for something to bring more accountability to the daily checks, to the checking the oil, checking the hydraulic level, um, and mostly for those machines that run for 5 minutes and get shut off and parked, the loaders and the telehandlers. That was one of our main pressure points.
We just had that with something that I would say doesn't get used every day. And that's kind of what sparked this whole conversation where, yeah, there's certain things that have to be done at intervals, or there's certain nuances, like Ben, you mentioned, that are easy to get missed and hard to address, no matter who you think's accountable or what tools are you using. So, Dylan, we just signed up at the farm, right? And so we've got the grain farm and we've got the potato farm, and we were going through how many stickers we're going to need, right? And it was funny to watch the process because it started out, oh, like 100 is quite a bit, eh? Like, I don't know if we'll need 100.
That's
And
exactly
then
what I said.
Donald started doing the math on the potato farm. He's like,
yeah.
well, you know, I got 25 engines. Okay, 25 engines. What else did like? And from there,
And that was one thing starting. Where do you stop? How do you where do you do
yeah.
you put
So
them
tell
on
us
every
about that
door
experience.
handle? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, we just started with the power units, went to the trailers, and then now we have the tags for the feedlot and for the mill, and a welding list as well, which has just been so much easier on my life. Like I had spoken about before, the pen riders in the feedlot. I mean, if we got a busted fence, they can just put that in the feedlot maintenance. That doesn't have to go through me because most of the time they would tell me, I would kind of forget about it or not write it down, and it would go and go and go, and people would get frustrated, uh, very understandably. And now it's on grip. Everybody gets to see that. If somebody's got a spare minute, they know if somebody's capable of doing that, they can go fix it. And just take that red flag and mark it green when it's done.
So walk us through. So you sign up for the app, and like how you said your dad had figured this out. So it's great when it's somebody else's idea too, right?
Yeah, no, Brent had found grip and we were looking it up and just got excited. We all kind of huddled around the computer and we're looking at the website and everybody just lit up. This is what we need. I really hope this works out. And yeah, we got those stickers and just went to town tagging and just started with Tracy's basic daily checks and just went through and we made it more efficient, more efficient, more efficient. And one of the hardest things is deciding what you're going to expect everybody to do. Like I said before, it's all you can't expect other people to do it if you're not going to do it. And deciding on those daily checks what order and what we needed and what we didn't need, and because if you have that list way too long, people are just going to check the box and be done with it.
Yeah. So you get, when you subscribe, you get this orange box, I hear, with it's got QR codes in it and tags. Oh,
Sorry,
it's
cut out there.
Yeah, so Tracy was just showing us the box. So I was just trying to describe for the studio audience here today how, like, what comes in it and what it actually is, because they may not know that we're talking about QR codes you can stick onto anything plus plastic tags. And then I started getting all kinds of questions. Can we use this for cattle? Can we do this? Can we do that? Like, can we put it on people? You know, I don't know.
Yeah, you end up getting like an orange box here. You know,
I like to see. Yeah, if you put it in the center view, then it won't green screen. There you
yeah,
go. That's a handsome shot right there.
You get a bunch of QR codes, and we have, big stickers, little stickers. We've got these sort of magnets, PVC cards that you can zip tie to something that might not take a sticker. But the point is, whatever you tag now, you get the ability to create this digital profile for that asset, whether it's an engine, a power unit, a tree, whatever it is. We've seen a lot of different random things getting tagged. Any place you want to store those digital notes, that profile ends up looking almost like a social media profile for that piece of equipment. It's got pictures and conversations and documents and checklists and manuals and reminders and anniversary dates and all that sort of stuff. So along with that box comes a 15-minute video to show how to get started and how to tag equipment, invite your friends and your colleagues. The invitation process is pretty simple. And going back to where a lot of folks start, we've got a bunch of different tiers depending on the number of things you want to tag, and it's meant to start wherever you're comfortable. Pick your most problematic area of your fleet, start there. We can always mail more tags, and you can grow over time as you're comfortable. And the month-to-month pricing makes that simple because if it doesn't work, you don't have to keep paying me. There's no long-term setup costs or anything like that. So it's worked out really well for operations to get comfortable with it.
Yeah, I love that. I was just gonna see if I could share my screen here, I guess technically, and give you a little bit of an idea, just because we're at that part of the conversation where, yeah, if you're signing up. So we did have a special offer here. If you're on the call, you could screenshot that, or I'll put it in the chat if you're watching this on YouTube. But yeah, for the first 25 producers here, we're giving everybody a 90-day risk-free offer. So you can be marked safe on Facebook from any risk if you don't like it or don't use it. So yeah, you can go starter or team, and there's 100 grip tags with the starter, which is what we started out on the farm, but we've already had the argument about whether that's right or not, because we feel like we might need more tags, but you can get them. I take it you can get like $3 per month for the additional assets. And Tracy, I was shocked a little bit because let's face it, you're the CEO founder. You had a TED Talk this week. You're on CNBC and Bloomberg and all this all the time, but you're directly involved in getting this off the ground. And one thing that Dylan was saying is, oh man, talking to Tracy and working with Tracy and the iteration stuff's been awesome. So my impression with the farm is like, look, guys, if we have any trouble, we'll just talk to Tracy and it won't be a problem, or we don't know something.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's sort of the feedback we got when we were starting the company is, most farming operations don't want to be trained on how to set the stuff up for 2 hours when it takes 10 minutes to create a checklist form.
Yeah.
And he said, hey, let's figure out ways to do that for them to sort of be the bat phone, if you will, that they can call to alleviate that. And we get better every time we hear some of these things. The platform improves and becomes super easy for us to sort of build that into the process for future customers. So it's been just part of the process for us, and we love talking to folks out in the field and just learning a little bit about the operation.
Yeah, I want to take that off YouTube in case anybody's trying to, steal Jeff Farmer's information. But one of the shocking things was, I don't know exactly how this happened. Well, I know how it happened. I just don't know how it happened. Do you know what I mean? Like most technology today, I know what happened, but I don't know how you did it. So one of the crazy things was we were going through this on Zoom, signing up the farm, and Jeff Farmer got the confirmation email because he's the farm dude and he's going to be running the show. Well, it auto-populated all of his information on here. And anyways, it was a small thing, but I was like, wow, like what in the heck? And his credit card was in here. I'm like, boom, let's go to town. You're buying lunch at Chicken Chef, man. So that's really cool. And yeah, I think it's edible from there. But like most people, like you're probably doing the math how many tags you're going to use, but it's and 100 is probably quite a bit to start with. But where do you draw the line, Dylan? Like, did you hit somewhere where you're like, okay, no, I'm not tag. I can't tag the cat.
Yeah. Oh, it just based off a need, what we figured we needed that background knowledge, and like Tracy said, the tribal knowledge as well, being able to share all that information, and what we that's just kind of where I drew the line as to how do I expect people to use this or utilize it, and if it's not going to get used, then we just won't go ahead with it. But I remember doing the same thing you're talking about, doing the math and trying to count how many tags you're going to need, and we got to that 50 mark, and I thought, well, maybe 60 or 70. And then, yeah, we're at 100 now, which I really don't know how that happened. And I know we have a few more to do yet. So,
so you've mentioned a couple times, Dylan, this word tribal knowledge, and for me, I thought that was so cool. What the heck is tribal knowledge?
yeah, so I mean, when you got an issue with, like I'd mentioned in our last conversation about if you have a miserable time fixing something and you found a way that made it easier, you can put that in grip, and then that'll alleviate somebody else doing the exact same thing you did, pulling their hair out, and they can just skip right to that easier step. And same thing with machines. Like if we got something that's just a little bit wonky, you can just put that in there. And when people scan that tag in the morning, you can just kind of look through the list, and if there's something fresh on there, well, I'll pay more attention to that kind of thing. That doesn't have to go through me or every single person that hops in something. I don't have to attempt to tell everybody running it, hey, just pay attention for this.
Yeah.
Dylan, a good example might be like if you guys were hauling silage with end dumps. Imagine you were, or tandems. Um, and you have experienced operators that know how to back up and not tip the trailer when they're backing up.
Huge.
Uh, you could almost create a how-to video because when you hire a brand new operator, and it could be somebody who's young, could be somebody who's retired, right? It could be a variety of people that just decide, hey, I want to start working part-time on a farm driving truck. And they need some pro tips on when you back up and you're about to lift the hoist, make sure the rear wheels are not uh, uneven. Because when the
Mm,
top of the box gets too high, it'll overcenter and your whole entire trailer will tip sideways.
mhm.
And, that's a very preventable accident and a maintenance nightmare because if it twists it, then that trailer's out of commission. And in the middle
That's right.
of silage season, you don't need to lose a trailer, right? So there's that's it's safety, wonderful, right? That's helping
Yep.
everybody be safe, but it's transferring experience. And if that person who does know that pro tip leaves the farm or quits or retires, that knowledge doesn't leave with them. You've now got really easy steps to be able to, and they don't have to be tech savvy. Like you could do that video on your phone and put it into that particular tag or add it to multiple things.
Mhm.
Um, you could also take knowledge from years ago. You could take agronomic knowledge on how you grow your crops. You could take information from, you know, the history of your cattle herd. I mean, all kinds of documented information that you want to be able to say, I need this for the future because as I hire people, this will be the fastest way for them to get up to speed. And I don't want to lose track of this information. And the neat thing that I've really picked up on with Grip is just it's not that expensive. Right? And like when you were looking at retail software that's used by garages or workshops, that's expensive. That's like an ERP system.
Right.
It's
Mhm.
accounting, it's all these other things that maybe you don't need that. And you gotta then put in all the infrastructure, barcode scanners, and all this stuff to get your software working properly. And then it's not mobile friendly, it's not on your phone. Like there's a lot of
Yeah, and like
things.
that's where it kind of started. Like we needed something to help prioritize our shop work is really where it all started, is where that's where it started. And like it just rocket shipped from there to the daily checks and the intervals and being able to we touched on it a little bit before, but you said, Dan, about something that doesn't run every day. And like that's like our grain trailers. There's four different guys that haul grain, and we've got three different sets of trailers. Who's responsible for taking a look at the brakes and greasing them? It's really hard to put a priority to that. And to be totally honest, I forget about it because I'm not the one pulling them all the time, and they just kind of go. And I've got a lot on
Confession
my plate.
time.
That's
Mechanical
right.
confession time. Let's be
Yeah.
real.
And we
It's
get
so
to a
true
Z
though.
hip and
Yeah.
and the brakes are toast because nobody put a grease gun over it. And we just set up with Tracy the 25 because they didn't really want calendar time because if something doesn't move for a month and it's got greased, then why are we going to go? Nobody's going to go grease it again. But now we're doing the daily checks and getting our guys to daily check it every morning. And then once we have 25 daily checks, then bang, I get a notification. Hey, we need to do a monthly checks. Get under that thing, grease it, take a look at it so that we don't have anything get forgotten.
Yeah, it brings so many things to mind. Number one, Ben, you were talking about that experiential, like people that have the experience. How do you get it out of your head? And we got this fancy grain dryer. My dad's in love with it. God bless him. Like it's just his baby. He bought a new camper so he could sleep there when they moved to Yorkton. And but he's kind of the only one who knows how to run it, right? So how do you start to transfer that? And while he's watching it, he could be making some instructional videos so that he can go away and watch the kids graduate or whatever, and not have to, the dryer not be sitting. And then the other thing was I took a bunch of potash bags across Western Canada. Well, I go to the farm. I'm the big brother from the city. I can't tell you how many times I walked around and checked that thing, did the hazard analysis, because I don't want to blow up anything and become a legend on the farm. But how do I know who has checked what on the 110 or the 1 ton and the gooseneck? Like, I have no idea. So all I can say is, like, has it gone through the shop? Do we know what's right on it? You know, whereas now I'm going to be on the grip. So if I come home to help on the farm, I know there's going to be QR codes and all the equipment. And I know over time there's going to be this bank of knowledge where here's how to run this class combine, here's how to, you know, run the grain cart, and here's some tips and tricks, and here's little things. This code came up, but don't worry about it. It's not a 911. You don't have to call the dealership. I mean, and just talk about safety and ease, and then to be in the flow of communication. I mean, I can't imagine how much better everybody gets. I can't imagine how much better everybody would get on this in Western Canada with the size of fleets with harvest and sharing. I mean, you could go back a year ago now. If we had GRIPP a year ago, we could see exactly what the settings were for wheat on all the combines, because I know my sister-in-law does the settings in her combine. And then again, the tribal knowledge to all the, you know, change your settings like this. And then, but it's not stored and it doesn't accumulate into betterment or productivity, I don't think. I think it's lost over the radio chatter or the coffee shop.
And I'd just like to add how easy it is to get onto, like how easy it is to onboard people. I hear that constantly. To have staff walk up to me and I'm not even asking or seeing how things are going. They just say, man, that app is easy to get onto. And boy, it's handy. Like that just speaks volume as to, like, it is so simple to get on. Like once everybody, like once somebody's on, then they are able to invite the next person. I don't have to stand there with them and get them on. I just say, look at whoever's walking across the yard, just talk to them and they'll give you the code and you're in.
Oh, so it's like anybody can invite anybody. It's how do you do that?
Yeah,
So
we've got a couple of different tiers of folks, but basically there's a little orange button that, you know, is basically the home base for GRIPP. So you click that, you can add an asset, but you can also hit invite and it brings up a QR code. Next person scans it, puts their name and phone number in, and they're ready to go. So they sort of inherit the rights and permissions of the person that invited them. So super simple.
Oh.
You know, literally a minute or two, people are on and productive.
Do you think I'll get invited to the farm, or
Probably not. Yeah, I think.
It's like I'm kind of legendary for what I do is I take a piece of equipment, I test it to the limits, and then when it breaks, I'm like, okay, that's where the line is. We know that's how much it can do.
Yeah, one of the things
operator.
One of the things that's been interesting for us to observe with Dylan's operation is, you know, he's also logging fuel, and so during the refueling of a piece of equipment, you have 3 to 5 minutes to go do a quick check or, you know, run around the equipment and look for canary issues. And all of a sudden that gets people in the habit of recognizing that the orange QR code is sort of that window and that habit into information. And that sort of changes what we've seen in this operation and others. That changes this sort of culture of care. Like everybody recognizes that now, it just becomes part of how you operate, which is super interesting to watch evolve.
Yeah, I was wondering how this changes behavior.
A lot. Yeah. It's done wonders for us. Yeah. I've had some guys that I was really struggling to get to look at stuff. And then now with GRIPP, you know, everybody gets those notifications. Hey, somebody check this, that, somebody check that. And then it just brings everybody up. Everybody just looks harder, and it's just more in the realm of thought. Because before we had at the fuel up, we just had a piece of paper, and it was just the date, your unit number, the kilometers or hours, your fuel added, and liters on our pump, like the cumulative liters on the pump, and then oil check, because that's your number one thing. But now with GRIPP, and it's so easy to set up your own personalized checklist with Tracy. It's just, yeah, we've mended it and changed it about 17 different times. I'm sure Tracy's tired of talking to me, but
Yeah. I'm wondering, I don't know, Ben, you've been bringing it here to Canada for a little bit. I think you called me 6 months ago and said you're bringing this app to Canada that everybody gets on, they never get off, and they love it. And I was wondering, like, one of the things I'm thinking about a lot is next week when those codes hit the farm, and I want to follow up with them in a month and see how it's going and talk to them and get their experience. And I'm going to be out there next week, but how many things do we adopt or say we're going to do and it doesn't happen? I mean, I've got a treasure trove of, tickle trunk of stuff that I thought would be better than sliced bread, and I'm still paying a subscription. Somebody needs to clean that up.
On Jeff's credit card, yeah, at least.
Yeah. I had someone volunteer to do that for me. I'm like, you don't want to go there. You don't want to go in there. Um, Ben, how do you think this is sticky, or how do you think people get using it, or you keep using it, start using it, keep using it?
Yeah. Well, I think in Dylan's case, and then a couple other farmers that I know in Canada that have implemented it in the last few months I mean, we did take our time here to give a few key farmers the opportunity to try this first and get uh, just to test it in our market conditions. We knew it was pretty transferable, but GRIP has been widely adopted on a whole range of different types of farms across the US. And now we've got it here in Canada with a couple of very key farm sizes and different scenarios. And in those situations, we wanted two things to really be, the farm owner or the manager was the champion who said, we're getting this. I'm frustrated. I want to try something new. And as long as the whole team was able to get it going without a lot of friction
Mm.
and there was buy-in, it moves really, really fast. Because as we've said a few times on the call, like you literally can scan that code to get invited, and it's less than a minute, and you've downloaded the app and you're set up. And it's not asking you to do an enormous IT exercise to get this thing up and running across your organization. You don't have to install it in the machines. You don't have to put devices. There's no batteries. There's no antennas. There's no cell phone plans. It's just your phone. And everybody's got a phone now. And they usually have a camera on that phone. And that's all you need. And if literally can say to someone who uses their phone for text messaging, making phone calls, and even if they're not on a bunch of Facebook or Instagram and different things, but they know basic text messaging and they probably started using WhatsApp because now everybody's using that on their farms to try to communicate better because you got iPhones versus Android versus different things and it doesn't talk well together. So you start to see that either people who are not that tech interested get on GRIP and then they go, well, I totally am comfortable with this, right? That is one thing I've consistently heard is there's always somebody on the farm who is going to be the one that says, I do not want this technology. It's I'm opposed to it, right? Uh, and then they use it, and then it's not that they reverse course. They're still very skeptical. But this one, it's like, well, okay, but this I like because it's did not ask me to do a bunch of things.
This is the exception.
Right. And then it's particularly mechanics
Yeah.
and people that are dealing with these problems are usually the ones that are more like traditional, old school. I like believe in the hard and fast things, not this technology stuff. And I'm not slighting anyone. I'm a little bit like that. I like things I can understand, and technology is not easy to understand. Software and the internet is a really obscure thing. But when it suddenly makes like organizes the situation, right? Takes it off of a clipboard or sticky notes or text messages as the only record that we use to try to keep track of things. And now it's accountability, right? It's also, I don't have to get in a fight with somebody that I don't want to have a disagreement with, or I'm not good at conversations. I don't like to confront people and talk about things that I'm upset with them about because it's just going to ruin my day. I just go through the next day and the next day and kick it down the road. This is things like, who was the last person in this truck? You know, there's a record of that because they had to scan into the truck when they got in the truck the first time, and wherever that truck is now sitting, you can see like their phone was there, and that means they must have been in that truck. Like there's a lot of things that you can
Oh, it shows
start
you
to say,
like a
like everybody, yeah,
like
right.
a cookie
Well,
crumb
you're
kind of thing,
gonna
or
when you scan that in, there's a timestamp for that, and you know when the person was at that machine.
it's not
So
just that there's like a salt and vinegar potato chip wrapper on the floor, and you know who's a big fan of salt and vinegar potato chips.
right. Or even like where is that machine? Like where did we last
Oh
leave it?
yeah, yeah.
Right?
Because there's going to be a
Where's
GPS component of this you're talking about, Tracy, at some point.
well, that's going to be a someday thing, but I
Yeah.
mean, now
Oh,
you can
yeah,
still do some stuff
we
with
get,
it.
yeah, we'll take the GPS off the phone scan right now. So
Yeah,
it's sort of a lightweight way to keep track of, location without a device.
Like
interesting.
if you put a tag, let's say on um a tote, let's say you're getting DEF totes delivered, or
Right.
you
Yeah.
buy DEF or oil, and it's empty, and you got to take it back and get the next one.
Yeah.
It's notorious to be like, where the hell is that tote? Like it's pushed off to the back somewhere on underneath something. I don't know. And so it's possible in these situations that if you tag that, you know kind of more or less where it was. If the person who last moved it has to scan the location of where it is now. Now you've got it kind of documented. Or if you had situation with like the grain cart and the tractor were left behind on a quarter section 20 miles away from where you are now. And everybody's like, where did we park it? And the guy that was running it is sick or unavailable or went fishing and is no longer got cell coverage.
He went salmon
Uh,
fishing. Oh
right.
man, guys at
So,
Harvest go salmon fishing.
right. What a jerk. Um,
Sure.
so those those situations are usually like time wasters, right? You're calling for people, you're chasing, and then you get irritated and you
You're
start to
already
get short
mad
with
before you
people,
even.
and
Yeah.
the stress levels come up. And if your spouses and your partners are involved and you're coming home at night and you're just like spending another hour venting about how the day was not running smoothly and there was just that friction and tension with everybody, that family members aren't getting along again and we're back into fighting mode, and like that is very, very common, right? You're pointing fingers. There's a lot of that on farm frustration that is rooted in criticism of each other's habits that make our days not run smoothly. And that is a really interesting thing to watch happen when you start putting this, like there's no hiding from this, right? We all are using it and we all can see what each other are doing differently and how that impacts each other.
It's
And
the
it's not to,
accountability. It just
right.
that
It's
that
not to point fingers or it's suddenly like, it's not a tattletale system. It's just now we're all just elevating, right? We're all just trying to realize like this, there is no my way versus your way. It's just clear now that when you did it that way, you thought it was the best, but look at what happened, right?
Mm.
And my way, I realize now, was just causing you to have a lot of anger issues. Those sorts of things I think are getting really improved on a farm. And when you're farming and you tell yourself at the end of the season, like, why am I putting myself through this? Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, and you're going to bed at night and you're like, geez, I just think I should just quit. Like I'm just tired of it. Like that is probably I don't know. That's a 75% likelihood that that conversation happens every year on farms. And you go, it's because of stress. It's because of the daily stresses and the fighting with your family members and the deals, the daily interactions. We don't fight because things are going well. We fight when things are not going well. We fight over the conflict over why did you do it that way? Why did you screw up? Why did you break this? Like, I thought I told you how to do this right. Why aren't you listening to me? Like, well, okay, but that's just conversations, and especially with elders, like we respect our elders, we respect their knowledge and their experience. But when you're younger, you also want to try a different way, or you want to you want to sort of challenge that authority a little bit. And then that leads to a lot of friction because they'll somebody who's got a lot of experience is saying, you should listen to me. I know this. I've done this for 50 years. And the younger person's like, I know, but there's other ways to do it. And then you have a big blow up. And not every family's like this, but Dan, I think in general, if people are listening to this, they're gonna go, yeah, okay, sure, you're right. Two brothers farming together, or a father-son farming together, or a husband and wife farming together, it's not uncommon. And every time you can put something in place that's going to help you just get rid of those little instances where that that argument's going to happen, because it's usually about equipment, it's usually about breakdowns. Like, why didn't you check the oil? Now the engine blew. Now this is going to cost $50,000 to fix, and we don't have the machine in the peak of the season. Like, so when you look at GRIPP and say, well, that's kind of like, that's a lot of money for a little app. I don't know. Not in the grand scheme of things.
No.
Not in the scheme of preventing a blow up of an engine, or better accountability with your team, or sleeping better at night because you didn't have fights all day.
Well, I'm
That's
really
all.
glad that you shared that, because I always ask ourselves, what are we really solving for? And let's face it, in business, other than maybe cash flow, 90% of our problems are interpersonal problems. And equipment can be replaced, changes can be made, but I love that you shared that, because anybody listening to this, I mean, yeah, I hear the voices that you were doing, the farm dog voices. We all grew up with that.
Yeah.
And you're right. And I guess we turn to Dylan, who's living it. I mean, I hope it was a wonderful thing to hear. And that's why I want people to have this app too. Trust me. Ben, you called 6 months ago about this app, and I'm like, that's amazing. That's cool. But it wasn't until the farm staff saw it and wanted it. And I want this to be about the people that are dealing with that kind of issue and the stress and the pressure, and all kinds of things that go on in between people, all kinds of things where sometimes it's hard to communicate things to people because you don't think they're listening, or vice versa. It might be that they're intimidated by that person, or they have their way of doing it. But instead,
And
this
it's
is
hard to get
instantly all
across
communicated.
what's
Yeah.
expected.
Tell
Like
us
when
what
you
your
have
experience is dealing with that.
yeah, just having a standardized what's expected, what you're supposed to check, when you check it, how you check it. Like I had mentioned in our other video, when I start at a tractor with a spreader on it, we're checking levels, and I'm getting somebody going on that machine for the first time, and I start at the front and I say, check this, check the oil, check the hydraulic, you check the transmission, you check the gearboxes on the spreader. And by the time you get to the end, if you're just looking at somebody, they've forgotten half of it by the time you get to the end. But if you're standing there with the app and say, okay, so here's engine oil. There it is. That's the box you get to check after you do that. And then you slowly go down the line. They retain it 10 times better. And it's helping standardize what that is. Like my expectation of what I'm going to check can be way different than the next person's. And just trying to help get everybody on the same page, like Ben was saying.
And two, I think if you think about a lot of larger firms that have workforces that turn over every year, like they're different people. Like, take for example, if you bring over students from Europe or Australia, they just work for a year. Sometimes they've never even worked on equipment. Like, they're just brand new to farming completely, and they're a common situation where they break stuff because they just have no experience. I and then language barriers could be there too, right? And so, that's one thing GRIP did as well, is figured out how to do translation in certain languages, but also if you create these simple videos, well, someone watches that. Like when you just explained your front to back thing on the spreader, if you recorded a video on that, and then every time you hire somebody, they can just watch that video. Like, you don't have to go and repeat
Yeah.
that
Yeah, you
orientation
can go back to it. That's
right?
true. Yeah.
And if you lose somebody who's your most experienced person, you can replace them with somebody and get them up to speed faster. And that, I think, is a really fascinating thing with our changing labor environment, like how we're getting less and less and less labor for farms, and how are we going to deal with bringing people from non-agriculture over to farming. These are the kinds of tools like we're going to have to start adopting them if we're going to be able to manage workforces. Like we can't just run on watch me models and I mean if you run
Right.
a factory, you're in a professional company that's even got 4 or 5 employees, any other industry, they've had to adopt all these things. They've had to put in standard operating procedures and documentation and teaching and training and farms have been notorious for just like it's complex and you just need to know what you're doing. And unless you were born and raised on a farm, you're not going to be qualified. So that I think is a huge opportunity is like giving low cost tools, ultra simple, phone based, no devices that gives you the tool set to organize professional farms. And
Well, we're
all
excited about the language translation at the potato farm because a lot of the workers speak Spanish. They don't speak English. I saw them at the field day and I was like, oh, you guys are a bunch of handsome fellas here. And I don't think they knew that I was telling them that they're, handsome young men or whatever, right? They were just, yeah, yeah. So they literally don't speak English. So I'm hoping that'll be the way that they talk to each other. I'm hoping that Donald can, have a different way. And that's so funny when you talk about the watch me model, because that's literally like, if I show you once, I mean, you should know how to do it forever. And like I do, that's the kind of the culture in agriculture. Let's face it, the hired man, a good hired man does it the way I did it for the last 30 years. And if they don't, well, that's kind of your metric, like on a scale of 1 to 10. So anyways, we could pretty much go on forever, but I wanted to bring it home a little bit. Tracy, I'm really excited about our journey together. I think one of the big reasons that we partnered with you is because of you, and of course, because of Ben, and because the farm staff are voting for this. And if we're doing it on the farm, it just makes a lot of sense. But I honestly believe in my heart, it goes back to what Ben was talking about there. This can make farm families, farm businesses better. And it's really exciting to think about the big enterprise operations like my buddy Marty at Enns Brothers. If you're listening to this, we're going to get you. We're going to get you on this. I mean, there's so many businesses that can benefit from this outside of farms, but that's where my heart is. If family farms can adopt this, have better communications, have better relationships at the end of the season. Productivity and efficiency is one thing, but human relationships are everything in business. So I'm really excited for Aberhart Ag Solutions to partner with you, Tracy, and what you're building. It was so encouraging to hear Dylan's story. I was like, boom, we're on the right track. We did the right thing working with these guys. And Ben, big part of the reason we're involved is because of our relationship. We've been working together at various things since 2018 when, you had the idea for Field of Stars at Ag in Motion, and that's been a wonderful journey. So it's all about the people. And for the first 25 folks that sign up here, we're offering 90 days free. So you can try this app this fall and see how it works without any risk at all, which is amazing. And I really believe that working with Tracy, it was great to hear what Dylan said. Like he kept mentioning when I chatted to him before this call, we talked to Tracy. Tracy helped us with this, and the level of customization and interaction and support's awesome. So that's a really big deal. So just describe, Tracy, a little bit about this offer that we have for folks signing up here initially.
Yeah. So our, Dan will send out the link to the site that he showed. But you can sign up right online, put your operation name in. You'll get a welcome email with a short video to watch on how to get started. Of course, we'll support you from there, and then we'll mail out that little orange box with the QR codes. And we've seen folks get going in 2 to 3 weeks. And I think one of the things that you'll see pretty quickly is the transparency and the team buy-in, tends to happen pretty quickly. So 90-day risk-free, we won't charge you for 90 days, back out anytime. And then I think we're also going to do, Dan, the referral program. So those first 25 can refer, other folks once they're comfortable, and, everybody you refer that joins the platform, you'll get a month free of the platform. So we've seen quite a few folks in the US, pay for their subscriptions that way. So we've got this sort of early adopter referral program just to get GRIPP credits and, really low to no cost option to really transform the way you track your operation.
Easy peasy. I love it. Dylan, what would you say to anybody who's listening to this or watching this and wondering if they should pull the trigger on grip?
Just go get it. Just get on it. Start tagging, and you're not going to regret it. Yeah, just take the time and do it, and it's just going to grow. And I haven't had one person yet not once they get on it not enjoy having it, being able to be all connected like that through the app.
Dylan, just if you could, let's say, knowing what you know now, you're brand new and you said, I'm gonna get, if as soon as that orange box arrived with the tags, how long would it take you to get your team of 35 people and some equipment tagged and profiles created if you were gonna do 100 pieces of equipment?
Yeah, it would take some time, of course, just to get everybody on board and figure out. And that was kind of the first part for me was I needed to get on it, get started to figure out what we were going to do because we didn't really know how this was all going to work. And once we just started tagging and just realized what we could do with this app, and it's just growing and growing and growing and growing, and we're just doing more and more on it all the time. And same thing with the staff; they just kind of have to learn what you can do, and then you have to decide what's expected. And then once you have that baseline of what's expected, and everybody else kind of knows, then you have that baseline group, and that just kind of spreads, just grows. So it definitely would take some time to get right from start to finish, but it was more of it wasn't quite just bang, got everybody going. I went out and tagged everything because I knew I wanted that first before I started telling everybody what's expected, right? Because we didn't want to have, somebody's hopping to a machine and it not be tagged.
Yeah, and I think just to provide some context, you've probably been with us for 3-4 months, maybe a little longer. I'm just looking at your account. There's about 2,500 inspections and activities created, right? So that's an amazement for that period of time, and it's just growing from there. So you got 2,500 pieces of information on 100 or so pieces of equipment.
And a lot of them, they're all not all negative. A lot of them are good. A lot of them are
Right.
just daily checks, just kick the tires and light the fires.
Yep.
Love it. Well, thanks, guys. It's been an awesome conversation. I'm really excited about what this is going to do for all kinds of people's businesses. And thanks so much, Dylan, for your participation. It was really great.
Thank you very much for having me.
Oh, it's highly encouraging to hear someone who's implemented in such a quick time. 3 to 4 months is wild to revolutionize your business, and the passion that you have for it. And it sounds like you run a great operation there. And it was really cool to hear about how you're working with not only a bunch of employees, but your family. And yeah, that's really impressive. All the stuff that you guys got going on in a day to produce food. Yeah, it's crazy. So keep up the good work. We're all proud of you and really appreciate what you do because it's the heart of civilization. And yeah, I enjoy a good ribeye now and then. So thank you for your efforts. And Ben, thanks for getting us involved. I'm really excited about working with you. I appreciate what you shared on the call today about, the interpersonal relationship side of it. I wasn't really thinking about that too much before we came in the call, but when you start talking about it, everybody can relate to that for sure. If you've ever been around the farm. And then, yeah, Tracy, we're extremely proud to partner with you here in Western Canada, and we're going to do incredible things together. And yeah, I'm really excited for what you built. And yeah, it's not just an app, it's the people that you're dealing with. So here's the guy behind it. And I think you get a sense that he cares and he's built something cool. And the level of service and support's been awesome. So thank you, Tracy.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. Excited.
All right, guys. Well, you guys have a good weekend. What's your prospects on catching some big salmon there, Ben? What's the over under?
I hate to say it, but anyway, we came all this way. And now our charter got canceled because of weather.
What?
So we're gonna try to plan B it today. Let's see
Oh
what we
no!
can do.
Sorry to hear that, man.
Yeah. Anyway,
Bad weather out there.
Oh, maybe they
it's
need
beautiful. It's just windy. So yeah.
Do you want me to Photoshop something for you?
I will get back to you.
All right. Thanks, brother.
See you later.
You guys have a good weekend.
All right, see you guys.
Bye for
All right.
now.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.